Can you guys see that? Yeah, okay. So today I'm going to be talking about the income tax in the United States. So what exactly is the income tax? The income tax is a tax levied by a government directly on income, especially on an annual tax on personal income. The Internal Revenue Code is administered and enforced by the Internal Revenue Service, which is the government agency that collects taxes on behalf of the federal government. It's also part of the Department of Treasury. A history of the income tax in the US. So income tax was first introduced in the US in 1861 in order to gather money to finance the Civil War effort of the northern states. Current Internal Revenue Code of 1986 was changed from the previous Internal Revenue Code of 1939 due to a change in Title 26. Basically, the change was just that we were gonna increase the income tax rates for the most wealthy, just because the rate of the income tax on the wealthy at the time was like 90%, but that was changed. And the Internal Revenue Service was also changed so that it could be used as a tool to serve taxpayers rather than just like holding them accountable and enforcing the income tax rate. The Internal Revenue Service was officially established in 1953 during the Truman presidency, the Truman administration. And it was around the same, it was honestly for the same reason, just so that they could restructure the agency and make it more friendly with taxpayers. So the pros of the income tax in the United States is that taxes collected by the Internal Revenue Service can be used by the federal government to fund programs that a lot of Americans depend on, such as Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security, which is just health insurance and making and programs that basically help them so that they are able to pay their bills and to actually survive even after they are retired or if they are going through any medical struggle or any financial struggle. The money that we collect can also be used to fund education and financial aid programs such as FAFSA, which includes the Pell Grants and the student loans, which a lot of people, including myself, depend on to pay for college. They also can use the money to fund infrastructure projects such as the federal interstate highway system. And so income taxes were like a huge source of money so that they could actually pay for that during the 40s. The national debt and deficit. So the difference between the two, because a lot of people don't know it, but the national debt is basically the total debt held by the government and by citizens. The national deficit is when the federal government is spending more money than their budget, not less. So the national deficit was projected to hit $31 trillion, or the national debt, excuse me, is projected to hit 31 trillion by the end of this year, according to the US Treasury. And the national debt has actually grown by 4,000% since the Civil War. The US government has not run on a surplus of money since 2001. So what exactly does this mean? And what is this tied to the national debt? It's any single time that Congress is meeting every single year to come up with a budget, the budget that they're going to come up with is funded by tax dollars. So let's say that they are giving themselves a budget of $3 trillion for 2023. If they go over that, then that means that they are spending more money than they're actually collecting and bringing into the government, which causes the government to fall into deficit, which can always hurt our government because that means that our government is going to have to take out more bonds and have to pay a higher interest rate to lenders. And gathering as many taxes as we can is our way to prevent that from happening. But so the national debt has been increasing for years. It started increasing at a higher rate in like the late 2010s, specifically also in 2020 as a result of a lot of the stimulus like packages that were passed by Congress as a way to stimulate the economy. It also increased very much so in 2001 as a result of the 2001 recession and the beginning of the war on terror. We also started spending more money on the military since 2001, just so that we can fight terrorism. We've also seen an increased cost of mandatory social programs. So every single year, the budget has mandatory cost, which is basically a mandatory amount of money that the government has to spend or a part of their budget has to go to on programs. So I believe that we've been spending about $1.1 trillion on Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security last year. And so that if that keeps going up and up and up, then that means that obviously the government is going to have to spend more money and they're going to have to like bring in more money as a result too. But the problem is that this isn't what's really happening. So just because we're needing to spend more money does not mean that we're actually bringing in more money because of loopholes in our tax system, because a lot of wealthy companies are dodging taxes by putting a bunch of write-offs on their taxes every single year. Also because a lot of people are also cheating taxes and they're not actually paying their fair share, which is what, if you've been noticing it on the news, there's been a lot of talk about the IRS receiving more money so that they could hire 80,000 more agents. That's not to like go after average Americans, that's to go after the wealthiest Americans. So the more money, the IRS basically works as if the more money we throw at it, the more money it'll bring in. So it's at the end of the day, ultimately a very good investment for our country. And so why do we need an income tax system? We need one obviously to fund those social programs like Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, which a lot of Americans depend on, but also the more money that the government has, the more money the government has to spend on national security to keep us safe and keep our interests overseas safe. It also gives the federal government more money to enforce federal laws, whether it's the actual tax law or any other federal laws that we've passed that we need to enforce, like Roe v. Wade. Like that's a law that we passed so that, or a decision that was made so that we can protect the woman's right to choose. If we don't have money, then there's no way the government's going to be able to enforce that. The Justice Department's not going to have the resources to go after states or go after physicians that are going against Roe v. Wade. So that's why it's really important. It really does affect our daily lives more than what a lot of us actually think. What else? The income tax system has also been coming like into a lot of controversy over the last couple of years, just because a lot of people think that the federal income tax is necessary, but we shouldn't have to pay so much, and that if we really need more money for our programs, then we really should redistribute and restructure the way that we spend our money, which, you know, that's everyone's personal belief. But at the end of the day, we have a lot of programs that the federal government needs to run. And if we don't have money, then there's no way for that to happen. It could cause us to fall into a situation where the government has no money to pay back its loans, which will cause our government to go into default. And the consequences of the United States falling into a default are catastrophic and could really ruin our economy and cause a lot of people to fall into financial stress. So that is why we need the federal income tax system, because our government constantly needs money running into it. And here are my sources. Any comments, questions, concerns? No? Okay. Let me just. Okay. Was that too long, guys? Was that 4 or 5
No,
minutes?
that was really good. Did you time it?
No, I didn't time it, but I should have. But no, I was just keeping in my mind, like, okay, don't say don't say don't say
No, you
and
did good.
I
Yeah,
said
you did good.
a lot less.
Yeah.
But okay.
Yeah.
Did I say like a lot though? I didn't hear myself say like.
No,
I don't
I
think
was
so.
I wasn't looking out for that, but I think you did a better. I mean, you did a good job last time, but I think you improved, like as far as delivery and stuff this time. So
Yeah, this wasn't supposed to be rehearsed either, is what she's
Oh,
saying. So okay, that's why if I messed up, it's because a bitch didn't rehearse.
no, you did good. You knew all your information, so that's good.
Okay, cool. Thank you guys so much. Okay, guys, well, I'll let y'all go. I hope you guys have a good Friday night. I'm gonna stay
You
up late
too.
again. So annoying, but
Okay.
have a good night, guys.
Bye.
you.
happy
Bye.
weekend,
Good
guys.
night.
Bye, guys.